All right.
Hey everybody, happy Wednesday to you. Hope you all are having a great week so far. Welcome to Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gunpla, gaming, and Gundam. I am Stephen Bayless, your host, also known as Midnight Hatter, and joining me this evening is a longtime friend of the channel and the most cantankerous person I know on the X Twitter platform, Kyle of Free Speech Geek and SimplyNewtype on YouTube. You know him, you love him. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm not weighed down by gravity at the moment, as you can see by my
Yes.
hat. I'm doing good. Yeah, it's been
Let the
great.
digging begin.
Yes, let's do it. I've changed sides. Screw the Federation. We don't need them anymore. We don't
Yeah.
need any of the Earth, gravity, all of it. None of it.
Yeah.
It's been good though. How have you been, man?
Good, good. Yeah, I mean, it's you and I were just talking in the pre-show. There's the what a stressful time to be alive.
Yeah, it's rough out there. I don't yeah. Even like
But
things like just like I'm jealous of like space. You guys probably have so much space. Like this is a box. Like if you could see like there's the green screen where everything's done right there. There's like outside, my desk is right here. My
that
existence is a box. So,
that is part of the
like
magic is like making
yeah.
making that space look larger than it is. It's like a
Yeah.
Doctor Who episode. So no, I think
Yeah.
it's impressive. And dude, kudos to keeping up with those skit videos because they are hysterical, like
Nice.
Tom the Titans pilot. And I saw you also dipped into having Haro appear as a character, which I thought was
Yes.
hilarious.
Yes. That was fun. I want to do more animation. I do have animation skills. I've done animation in the past, but it's kind of led nowhere. So it's good to actually use that here and there.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's fun. I wanted to do. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, but I did want to do like a Halloween horror skit where Hato murders everyone. Um, but yeah, I don't think I'll have the time, unfortunately. Next year, look out for that.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That'd be fantastic. Yeah, we were just talking about like just the idea of, media skills and production and how
Mhm.
these sort of one-man shops are probably going to become more what's the word I'm looking for? You're probably gonna see a lot more of them. They're gonna be more precipitous because,
Sure.
with all of the tools out there, and I mean, I hate to say it, but even like AI tools are enabling people to do things on their own that used to require small
Mhm.
teams of, you would have to have like someone running a camera, someone that was
Yes.
doing just editing, someone that was doing just VFX. Now you have it to where, a single person is capable of running an entire show by themselves, which is pretty cool. It's, scary because it means that, like, guys like me have a platform, but
Sure. Yeah. I guess it depends on where you take it, right? I don't. Yeah, it's a tricky line, that free speech we have.
well, we use it to, I guess, effectively the most good that we can, and that's why, last week I had on, Wayne Snow, from
Mhm.
Howling at the Earth. It's always fun to talk with him, indie solo musician who's been, he's been a professional musician for 15 years, which is
Yeah.
like, it's kind of cool that that's even a thing. Like uh the whole like myth of like the starving artist like doesn't exist anymore. Like it's never been easier in our generation to be a creative
Mhm.
professional and also like be a professional and like be able to put food on the table. Like you're not
Yeah.
like constantly like busking. You know what I mean? It's like it's cool that that's an option now.
Yeah, it is. There's so many gateways too. Like you could, like we talked about, like what's going to be the future of like the artist, and you mentioned it's probably going to be gaming, and there's just like so many interesting things about gaming. From a person who doesn't play too many games anymore, like I do see that as a very fascinating like future. Especially with I have a feeling like no matter how you feel about Grand Theft Auto 6,
Mm.
I have a feeling this is going to change a lot of things. This is going to change, like people are going to become celebrities from this game.
Think it's gonna be
Uh
like defining.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. And that's how I feel about the last one. Like it's not, it's Rockstar,
Right.
it depends on how you feel about Rockstar. Do you like those long, elaborate like animation sub cuts at the expense of like kind of your kind of freedom as a gamer? Um, I personally kind of don't mind it because it leads to even the bad. It leads to like weird, awkward glitches, and that always makes me laugh. I don't know.
And some of that stuff, I think, there was an artist that I knew when I was in school that, like, his thing was he would do these amazing, like, photorealistic paintings of water towers, and then he
Mhm.
would just take a can of red spray paint and, like, screw them up, and he was like, "It's not finished until I've introduced, like, the flaw to it." Like, that was his whole sort of creative theory
Right.
behind this style of, artwork. Kind of a one-trick pony if you think about it, but at the same time, at least, like, that was his thing, and so when you think about those types of, like, glitches that exist in games, like,
Mhm.
sometimes that stuff becomes part of the game for people, like, the whole speedrunning community around Legend of Zelda games is all about exploiting glitches, and so those things become part
Right.
of the experience, and, you and I were just talking about, like, the idea of, like, the auteur, and,
Mhm.
it occurred to me, like, wow, gaming has already become the, venue of the auteur, like, where it used to be film, right? You had your
Sure.
Spielbergs, your Scotts, now you have, like, Kojima and Druckmann, and you have, like, these names in gaming that are associated with narrative video games that then, like, they carry their own weight, and, obviously, it takes, like, way more than just them, like, it's not a solo guy doing this, but they get all
Insane.
the credit.
Yeah, yeah, way like, way bigger than, like, a film production, like, thousands of developers, for some of these projects.
Oh, yeah.
It's insane, but, Kojima, man, he's my guy.
Exactly. I often say he succeeds, in spite of himself, rather than because of himself, because, like, man, uh, like, every Kojima game, I think, is a joy to play, but it's like,
Yes.
it's not because of what he contributed to it.
No, not the story, I'll say that. And I'll say it's not the kind of like the narrative structure of the story. The concepts, the ideas, absolutely. That
Yes, 100
structure. Uh,
that's a good way of putting it, like, the thematic structure that he puts in, that's appealing, but yeah.
this motherfucker is still expositing and the credits are rolling and he's giving you more information. I'm like, this isn't how you tell a story.
Oh, yeah, and he feels this need to, like, constantly explain himself, like, as if, like, we didn't get it, and it's like, "No, dude, we got it, like, it's it's fine, we got it." Oh my gosh.
I feel a lot of Japanese creators do kind of like the Nolan thing where they rationalize feelings. They don't feel, they rationalize feelings. And that's kind of what I get from Kojima. He's rationalizing it. He's like, this is how I should feel. This is how it should be, you
Yeah,
know?
I think that that's a good way of looking at it for sure. And, hey, speaking of Japanese creators, like, that is kind of what we get from Otomino, right? Is in his storytelling, throughout mainline Gundam series, it's
Mhm.
like, he portrays these characters in all of their imperfect glory. It doesn't seem to me like he's ever experienced those feelings himself, but
Mhm.
he knows, like, the outward expression that comes from feeling those feelings, if that makes sense.
Yes,
It's like, I know
absolutely.
that when someone is sad, they cry, and so that's what I'm gonna write into the story.
Mhm. Yes. And have you read Geiger at all?
No, I haven't.
So that is like peak what you're saying right now. Gaia Gear, like he is trying to rationalize because there's a lot of like weird like white nationalism like
Right.
talk in it, and like
French,
how like kind of like how think of like the whole concept of controlism and like migrating is for like this greater good for Earth, right? Whereas like to go 200, 300 years into the future, no, it was actually like a good idea for the whites to push every other ethnicity off of Earth, essentially. And maybe we shouldn't have followed controlism. Maybe it was a bad idea. Maybe it was just pushing the Federation are just a bunch of white nationalists. It gets pretty crazy. But he is, it doesn't feel like he's felt that. He is like, it feels like a textbook. He is like, this is
Mm,
how it would have been X, Y, and Z if we were in this situation in Universal Century. If this kind of like experience that let's take like a white nationalist experience of USA or something like that. Let's apply it to like I called it when I was doing Gaia Gear global nationalism, right? Because it's not or not white globalism because it's not white nationalism at that point. It's the whole
it's everything.
world, right? And yeah, so it's interesting, but he's like, he's coming at it, and especially, I don't know if you've been to Japan or if you experienced the Japanese culture. They're so isolationists, so
Oh yeah.
everything is like kind of from a kind of historical context in many ways, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I like watching them be an experiment of weird isolationism.
I mean, I think that that's cool. And I think that that's you know, if you're going to be a nationalist, I think that that's one of the benefits of that is that you have diverse cultures and
Mhm.
like you have like you said it's like an experiment. Every nation has their own experience and their own like their own culture that's defined by their policies, that's defined by the things that made them up. And so it's like if you were to take that away in the name of like a globalist society, then you would lose that art. You know what I mean? It's like part of
Mhm.
part of what we enjoy about Gundam is hearing those different perspectives and like experiencing things from a culture that we have not personally experienced. And to take that away and to kind of homogenize everything, you know, we were we were just talking about, like, the idea of, like, AI slop, and it's like, isn't that what we're gonna get, is we're just gonna get more of the same stuff cranking out on our feed, and it's like, it it becomes like a drudge to find anything enjoyable to watch because you're having to comb through the sea of just nonsense.
Mediocrity, yeah, just what the noise, yeah, and it's
Feel like the
unfortunate,
Grinch.
yeah, and that's where in, like, pre-internet cultures, we did rely on, like, these niche journalist magazines to kind of help us consolidate things. I always go back to what's his name? The dude who did the painted picture. He also did the right stuff. Something Wolf. I can't think of his name right now. But
Um,
uh like artists back in the day, they were defined by like everything we know about artists is because of the journalists. It's not
yeah,
the artists just did the thing. It was
right.
the journalists who kind of collectively created this, like, well, this is kind of what we're going through now. They kind of create these definitions for culture and all this stuff. It's called the painted picture. I can't think of the book, but definitely, or the name of the writer. But check it out. It's kind of like we've lost that over time. Is that these people
The
with
curators.
authority, the curators?
Yeah.
Yes, and it's
Uh,
not that sorry to interrupt, but it's not that
no,
we lost it. It's that we don't have a kind of a north star to tell us where to point. Right now, we're like China before they became a collective nation, and we're just a bunch of dynasties. We're
well,
kind of
yeah.
there, honestly.
I mean, it's a shame because it's like on the one hand, the tastemakers often would yeah, and we lament this all the time is like going back and watching old G4 like X-Play episodes. I remember they trashed the PS2 era Gundam games. Like they were like, this is garbage. Even if you like Gundam, you're not gonna enjoy this. Like it's just another crappy Japanese game, like 0 out of 10. And it's like those are some of my favorite video games to this day. Uh, and so it's like, I think that the tastemakers, they still do exist, but I think that their authority has been eroded because of the exposure of other tastemakers. It's like
Sure.
now anybody can fire up a webcam and be an influencer and say like, this is good, this is bad, this is what you should watch, and this is what you shouldn't. But even them, they can't consume all of the art themselves, and we're gonna get to the idea of consuming art and media in just a minute, to be sure. They can't do it, so they outsource all of their opinions to the hive mind of like, well, what are the other people in my circles saying about this thing? I'm just gonna echo what they're saying, and
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's I don't know the solution. Uh,
or or is it
or
something
is
that
there
needs
a
to be solved?
solution? Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be back like I don't know if you remember. I remember like early, like very because I was super young, but just vague memories of late '80s, early '90s, in which
Oh,
there were like places where you wouldn't know about unless you knew the right person.
yep,
Like that doesn't exist in a world of Instagram where we have to show you every product we do, everything on our menu, everything that we produce, like in an age of showing you something, there was an age of, well, no, we know what we're doing. Come to us if you can find us.
yeah,
And that I think is what we're going to return to. The younger generation is definitely going to be a more offline community, I think, and they're going to be a more exclusive kind of for the younger generation. It's like Discord, but in real world, and they're all niches, and each niche is their own Discord.
instead of servers, you have rooms where people
Yes,
actually enter and exit, and you
clubs,
can physically gatekeep them from entering said room.
exactly.
Well, and it's a shame
Yes.
because part of me, and I know that you and I are probably gonna have, like, kind of mixed opinions about this because, like, on the one hand, I kind of embrace a little bit of the consumerist culture around the franchises and the media that we consume.
Hmm.
I have, like, a fond memory of, like, the random anime store at Springfield Mall where it's like they just
Yeah.
happened to have the one Dragon Ball Z tape that I was looking for.
Yes.
Um, and those were the places where I would find, like, my tribe, my community, like, "Oh, this is where, like, the anime people go," like, I'm so happy that I found this place.
Hmm.
Um, but I know that that's like a I don't know, it's there's an aspect of it that's inauthentic because it's tied to, like, the purchase of a product as opposed to, like, the actual, enjoyment of the art, right?
I guess it depends. I guess it depends on how you consume it. To me, I know personally, like it's just a piece of plastic, and that'll annoy me and actually bum me out more than it would give me enjoyment, right? But,
Yeah.
if you don't give a shit about plastic, I would go for whatever, like it depends on what you, I guess, value. And like there's certain things that like I would care about that I'm sure you would just be like, whatever. So there's
Well, I'm proud to say that, like, I think I'm the one Gunpla guy that has not caught any stray, ire from you.
really, why is that? I'm curious because I'm out of the kind of the gunpla loop.
I think I think that the difference between me and most of the sort of like Gunpla tubers and
Okay.
at least from the conflicts that I've seen between you and people on X is like
Ooh.
there are people that buy Gunpla just to like possess a thing,
Yes.
whereas I view it as an expression of art. Like, it's the scale modeling hobby, like the painting, the dioramas, the like that's how I engage with the thing that we both enjoy. Is like that's how I engage with Gundam is by taking something and making art out of it,
Right.
or trying to anyway.
Yes. And that's amazing. I like that. I love that. And I wish I could see kind of more of that. It's the kind of like the hyper consumption, the memes of like I have so many boxes and like all that. It's like so you're just like
So you're just a
you're
hoarder,
you
like
just have too much money and you're hoarding and yeah, it's little moments like that that are just like I don't get it, but I get that like most things, even in America, the way to support a franchise is to buy their toys.
yeah.
So I get it. You got to do it, and I do it too. I'm not doing it. I'm doing it. I'm just not like holding on to it usually for too long.
No, and I think that, going back to what you were saying about, like, communities coming together offline, I think that what you end up seeing is the online spaces are where you see almost more of the hyper consumerism, whereas, like, the group like, the local Gunpla group here, RVA Gunpla, it's like they meet up on Friday nights, and it's like everyone's sitting at their tables and painting and weathering their Gunpla, and it's like they're talking, and it's this, like, offline experience, and what's cool about it to me is that I didn't
Right.
even know that they existed because they don't have, like, a heavy online presence, and so that was almost, like, refreshing to me is it's like, "Dude, I've lived
Right.
here for 13 years, and I had no idea you were here. I had to, like, find you accidentally."
Yeah, that's cool. And I'm sure there's like so many things like that around me that I would wish I knew about, but I just don't know the right people at the moment, and if they don't have an online presence, you just don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
Do you have Facebook? Like, well, and I think in your experience, like, it used to be that you could go to conventions and you would meet these types of people, but, like, conventions have
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to ruin you gave me,
no,
like,
no, that's like,
PTSD.
I want you to share your experience of,
Yeah.
like, what the convention circuit has turned into.
So, yeah, I've been doing it for, like, since around, like, 2003-ish, I wanna say. Um, and I were like, 2003 to, like, 2015, we were having a great time, man. And then, like, everything now is just so hyper commoditized, hyper planned out. There's no it almost to the point of a disingenuous kind of way where you're just doing it to kind of either milk it, cash out somehow or something. It is just a bunch of people just desperately. It feels like no longer convention a giant vaudeville act. It's just a giant stage, and everyone's just trying to get your attention some way, somehow.
Gosh, you're so right. It's like
Yeah,
on the one hand, there's aspects of it that are cool because, like, I think that the cosplay scene has probably never been so
absolutely.
robust. Like cosplayers have gone to a whole new level when it comes to what they're capable of doing.
Yes.
And a lot of that comes from a lot of the things we were talking about. It's like access to consumer access to 3D printing and,
Mhm.
like, vacuum forming tables and things like that that we would have never had back in the 90s. But then, yeah, like, even them, the reason that they're there is it's like, look at me and, like, hey, don't forget to, like, follow me on Instagram because this is where I post all of my costumes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So there's definitely the commoditization of that as well, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, and you kinda see that, I guess, in terms of the cons, you see that in the meetups. The meetups have grown huge as of late, and this is kind of where people kinda come out to, like, show their stuff, which is interesting. We're seeing less and less of the artist alleys, which is the actual artists making stuff, and the artists that we do see there are mainly just doing fan art now. So you could go down and be like, "Do I want this guy's Goku or do I want this guy's Goku?" No one's making original IP.
Nope.
The ones that are trapped in a corner, and God bless them, they just suck at marketing because they always want to just shove a book down my hand. And I'm like, I'm not gonna read this right now. I'm sorry.
I remember back in the day when I would, because that was, like, where I would just hang out as Artist Alley. Like, there was a
Mhm.
handful of artists that I would wanna see, I would always make a point to go see Fiona Staples every year, Ben Templesmith every year,
Nice.
um, but then, I would check out a lot of, like, these independent artists. I remember there was a young guy that had done an indie book called Nightseeker, um, KNIGHT, Nightseeker,
Mhm.
um, and he was like, "Yeah, like, I'll sell you my book for, like, $8, but, like, for 20, I'll give you 2 posters, the book, like, the sketchbook that I" he was like, you know, "My 5-second pitch is it's like the Guyver meets Blade, and I was like, I mean, all right, I'll check it out. And like, so, and so I was that guy that would get like just got hook, line, and sinker to every indie artist that was like, hey, buy my book. I'd be like, all right, if there's like I would give it a shot because at the time, the art was the most important thing to me, and I was like,
Yes.
but yeah, I guess I don't know. Over time, I've started to. I don't think that I would side with the people that are like, 100% into the fan art and franchise stuff because I still want to create my own IP and stuff. But it's like you said, I mean, there's almost like it's like there's no money in it unless there's
Hard.
money in it, and so you're like kind of straddling that line. Um,
Yeah. It's tough. It's really tough out there in a culture that's kind of like focused on a couple things. It's I'm kind of curious. You have children. Like, what are like the IPs that are like for young people? Like, what is it? What's the thing? I guess
what's
like
the it
like
thing?
That's an original IP that's not from our generation. Something completely new, I guess.
Well,
Bluey.
this is where it's like I miss Adam because obviously his kids are a little bit older, so they're a little bit more
Right.
on like the zeitgeist. My kids are so young that like honestly, the craziest thing is like my daughters don't care about Bluey. Like Bluey's the thing that
Okay.
like adults watch
Interesting.
it so that they can
Okay.
force their kids to like it, which is kind of weird.
Interesting. Okay.
Um my daughter has like very eclectic tastes. She absolutely loves the Sonic movies for some reason. We
Okay.
took her to see like on New Year's Day we took her to see Sonic 3 at the theaters. It was her first movie and she like had a blast. Um and then like she likes Daniel Tiger, so like the PBS stuff. Um but like those are things that I feel like have been around a long time. There's nothing like new and original that really appeals to her.
Right.
And actually, that's probably the most interesting thing about her is, like, of all the Disney properties, she could not care less about Wish, Frozen, like, whatever the hot new, like, Pixar film is, she doesn't care about it. She wants
Right.
to watch Snow White and Sleeping Beauty on repeat, like, all the time. I'm like
Interesting.
so it's like even she at her young age of being I think is she generation beta because she's not a zoomer, she's like the next one after.
Right.
um Even she at her young age is like, I want to watch something from the 30s, like I don't want to watch and
Cool.
maybe it's like she's taking after me. It's like, oh, you
Sounds
think
cool.
it's funny because you watch a 70s cartoon, dad, I'm gonna I see you and I raise you. um But yeah, I think Adam would say that as well, is like, I'm pretty sure that his son does not care about, like, any of, like, the franchise stuff, like,
Marvel, Star Wars, none of that. Yeah, that's it seems like it's going in a different direction.
it's
I'm
definitely, like, a
curious.
millennial thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, which is interesting. Unexpected, right? Like we said, waves, right? It comes in waves.
Exactly.
They'll probably be like, "Dad, you're such a dork. You freaking play football,
Loser.
loser."
Um but yeah, and we're saying this as guys that have, like, basically built our online career around a franchise, and
Yeah.
so, yeah, so first of all, I said it off stream, but I'll say it on stream as well. Congratulations on all of the
Thank you.
milestones, your subscriber growth, your channel growth, the views. I love that you have re-released, all of your old Gundam coverage as remastered and, complete collections, which is fantastic. Um, so you have now officially covered every mainline Gundam entry.
Yes.
So where do we go from here?
That's a good question. So there's still a lot of obviously manga and light novels that will definitely continue just pumping through. But we're definitely going to start seeing some newer content that's going to be kind of like bigger, kind of like everything is like hyper focused, and
Mhm.
then I'll compile it into a bigger thing eventually. But I want to cover like bigger concepts, like everything about Shaw, everything about Amado, and like these kind of huge swaths, everything about like the production development of maybe like the Gundam or like some key Gundams and key mobile suits here and there. I've been for the longest time because it's necessary. I freaking want to do a video about like every single death of Makuve because that dude dies depending on who writes him, and it's such a different way. There's so many ways that dude dies.
He's like Kenny
So,
from South Park.
so I do want to do something like that along those lines, videos like that. Essentially, how many
That's
times
awesome.
I want to kind of bring to the forefront more of the formula project as we move forward. We just finished fastest formula and we're moving into cluster, which is F90 cluster. I don't know if you've read that, but that's kind of, it's going to bridge kind of all of the F90 stuff and essentially Crossbone Gundam, which is going to be interesting. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that
Uh,
is interesting, and honestly, like, that's where you're seeing a lot of, like well, not in the sort of mainline commoditization, but it's like, as far as Gunpla goes, like, that's where all of the P Bandai stuff is going, is it's like, it's all F80, F90, all of
mhm,
the accessory packs and things like that, so, yeah, I think that you're gonna have a lot to cover. I love the idea of, doing the kind of all about Char video and stuff like I mean,
mhm.
I have been sitting on 5 scripts, like 5 video essays that I have recorded, and I just need to get off my ass and edit them, and it's like Mother of a Red Comet, which is all about, Estrella Daikun, um, 10 Things I Hate About Witch from Mercury, which is
Okay.
a literary analysis of how The Witch from Mercury is the same story as The Taming of the Shrew. Um, there's a whole thing I wanna do about comparing Trey's Cushionata to Big Boss. Like, I have, like, so many ideas around just, character analyses and narrative analyses in Gundam that I'm just like, "Man, I wanna do them right, though." It's like I wanna I
Mm.
wanna get my production level up to your up to your tier.
If you, I love the idea of the Trace Kushinaga and Big Boss. Highly recommend you read at least the first volume of Frozen Teardrop, which is all about Trace, and
Ex
it's one of the better ones.
I'm glad you mentioned that because, Ultronymous, who is here in chat and has some questions for you as part of the Ask Me Anything. I'm sorry, I should have brought this up at the, beginning of the show as well. Like, if you guys have any questions for Kyle, drop them in the chat, so that we can answer them for you. Um, because, yeah, Ultronymous was telling me, "Dude, you've gotta read Frozen Teardrop if you wanna cover trays." Uh-oh, did I lose you? We appear to be having some technical difficulties. Hold, please. I think we're okay. Let me, I lost Kyle here, but let me hop into the chat and see what, so Ultronymous says, "Makuve confirmed Shakti, every version he dies a different way." I didn't know that about Shakti. Oh, he's back. I lost you there for a moment, sorry about that. Um, but yeah, let's dive into some questions here, and, let me grab our chat so that I can bring this up for us. Oh, for some reason, there's your video. Okay, I was like, the video still hasn't kicked on yet. All right, so the first question we have from Ultronymous: how many years have you been at this YouTube game?
YouTube itself, not too long, like 2015 or so. I'll say I guess Simply New Type has just been 2001 or 2021. 2022 is when I started, but I've been doing YouTube here and there since 2015. A lot of it is like food content, just food. Like yeah, so if you're very big into food, there's a bunch of videos I used to do back in the day. I used to run before doing this. I did kind of a influencer. It was mainly a website, but I did do some videos. It was just a recipe website of where I worked with craft breweries, and I made recipes with craft brewers. And I would even I would go to some local craft brewers and take, you know what spent grains are? from
Yeah.
like craft beer. So I would take like they would give me some of their spent grains, and then I would dehydrate it, turn it into wheat, mill it into wheat, and then I would make a spent grain kind of either like cookies are usually good, or like
Oh,
a
man,
bread
that's
product
awesome.
out
Yeah,
of old craft beer stuff. It was pretty fun. It's pretty
that
fun
is
for a little
pretty
bit.
sweet. I
Yeah.
remember there was a big controversy about, using spent grain as feed for cows,
Mm,
led to a lot of, in particular, dairy cows, is like so, heads up, if you are, pregnant, nursing, planning to become pregnant, don't eat spent grain cookies,
yes. Yes.
that is
And surprisingly, you'd be good to know that most of the spent grains is used for like dog treats, stuff like that. Mainly dog
interesting.
products, dog byproducts are really good. Making like biscuits, very good.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, I bet they love that, honestly.
Mhm. But
Um,
yeah, so I've been so YouTube. That's 2015, right? So to
yeah.
Simply New Type 2021, YouTube-ish 2015. Before that, I worked in Hollywood doing stuff for a while, just here and there doing gigs. I worked mainly as a prop guy for a long time, and then I kind of worked my way up. I done a couple. I was able to be like an art director and production designer on some projects, but mainly doing a lot of like just props, sets, stuff, set crafting,
That's pretty
things
cool,
like
man.
that. You brought up Tim and Eric earlier. I worked on. You ever watch? There's a commercial. Go watch it after the stream of what was the game? Saints Row 3. I want to say.
Oh, yeah?
Uh, Saints Row 3, it's like a weird, crazy, like Japanese, absurdist, like crazy video. I worked on that for a little bit. It was done by Absolutely Productions. If you don't know who that is Tim and Eric's production company. They were the directors. It was pretty cool. It was pretty fun.
That is
They
aw
didn't.
that is an excellent resume. I don't think that people appreciate enough about that about you, is that, like, when you're coming to these, when you're coming to the table, like, you're bringing all the experience of, like, LA and Hollywood and, like, serious productions, not just, like, YouTuber with a camera type thing.
Yes. That's kind of like the approach I take, which is kind of I take why I go this like non-community approach. Like you know how most YouTube channels is about creating a community, right?
Yeah,
Uh, I kind of explicitly put out there that I'm just here to make you laugh and entertain you. And I think that's kind of important because some people build a brand and a community because they feel the need to. And I don't think you need to sometimes, you know? And with that comes like a lot of disingenuousness, I feel. And I
I
don't want to bring that energy, I think. That's why I don't do it because I don't care enough, you know. I think it goes back to like just me being at cons for like so long, you know. If we meet face to face, let's do it. But you know, like in general, you know, I'm just
yeah,
speaking generally. You know, an individual. What's the quote? Like individuals are like amazing, but like the collective is where it's like yeah, you know.
exactly. And
So
then
I'm
when
yeah,
there's that forced collective aspect of it, like, that's when you get into, like, the parasocial relationships and, you know, there is almost a what's the word I'm looking for? You almost feel, like, guilted into,
mhm,
like, becoming friends with people that engage with your content, and it's like, that's
yeah,
not you don't wanna feel that way about a person, like, there are people that I've met that are genuine friends that I have encountered because of the content that I've created, but it's not like every single person that comes to me, I'm like, "Hey, you're my friend now," like, that's not that's a recipe for either A, becoming like a serial killer, or B, like, driving yourself crazy because you just no human being has the bandwidth to entertain that many,
yeah.
individual connections.
Yes, I think we're seeing the extremes of that as TwitchCon's going on right now. So yeah, like
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's a weird thing because to me personally, you're building a brand off of that behavior. So it's like
Yeah.
I just won't say anything. But in terms of this content, there is some growth. I should
Mhm.
probably reach out more and talk to you guys. And I do. There are like a lot of people on the channel that I specifically reach out to, talk to. They help me. I put out a video thanks to, oh god damn it, I forgot the name, but sorry. But just help me out, put out the wrong video just and he's like, "Yo, wrong video." I'm like, "Cool. Let me put that let me change that real quick." Like no one else did that, so awesome. Like there's a lot of cool people out there that are like actually genuinely
Yeah,
cool, cool people, and I appreciate that. But
exactly.
if you want to talk generally, yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm good.
no, I 100%, 100% agree with you, and then it's something hard to articulate because it sounds like you coming off mean, but it's like, "N no," like, if this were any other I think what makes it so difficult is that you're just so much more accessible. Is like nobody would ever dream of saying like, "Oh yeah, like I'm friends with Tom Cruise because I saw him on an airplane once." You know what I mean? Like there's this aspect of being accessible that you know, um, makes it difficult. But also
Yeah,
from Autonomous, how did you come up with the name SimplyNewtype for your channel? So this would have been in 2021 because, like you said, you've
yes.
been in media production for over 10 years. So
Yeah, so like we talked about this earlier off air, but like it was simple. Simple. Because like I've done pitches in the past. I've done so many, whether it's like in YouTube, I've I've left and done I worked in tech for a little bit, so whether it's in that, um, it just there's so much thought, unnecessary thought, I should say, put into branding that I just didn't put that much effort into branding for Simply New Type. And I kind of played it out. I was just like, I need something simple. And I'm like, oh, okay, simple new type, simply new type, And
there it goes.
it was that easy. It was that easy. And I didn't and it goes back to like what people used to say, but don't really say anymore, MVP, man, minimal viable product, keep it simple until you kind of grow it out a little bit. And
Exactly.
one thing that's interesting, I like, I have the Hotto as an icon, and I have Free Speech Geek as kind of like a global brand of what I do. But ultimately, I don't have a Simply New Type branding. I do have like a text at the front that does say Simply New Type. That's not necessarily, I get a logo. I guess it's the closest thing to a logo I would have. But I've kind of, and in many ways, done this is kind of an experiment because I don't focus a lot on like thumbnails. I don't focus on titles as much. I don't focus on those things that I probably should because I would be make so much more money.
Well,
But
but
I
see,
don't.
it's interesting because you say that, but then there are people that get so off in the weeds about like algorithm chasing and like, oh, I've got to make sure I've got my face in the thumbnail and like this. It's
Mhm.
like you can get so hung up on those things that then the art itself and the product itself actually ends up suffering because you're trying to
Yes,
sell the sizzle, not the steak. But then, like at the end of the day, you burnt the steak because you're trying to push too much sizzle.
yes,
Um, so there's
exactly.
definitely an aspect of that for sure. I like my current branding. I think I only picked it up like about 4 years maybe after I started because like my original branding was around like tabletop gaming and it was like a little D20 that just had like MH on it, which
Mhm.
Midnight Hatter was always just my gamer tag when I was in high school. So
Right.
like just like every other YouTuber, I was like, I'll just use my gamer tag. It's not a big deal. Um, but yeah, now I think that there's like much more brand about it. But I think that you're right. You can definitely focus too much on that. And especially like you said in the tech world, when you've got every SaaS company in the world wants to be a Zaboodle or a Jinbao, like, they always want
Yeah.
to just come up with like the most goofy.
No, yeah, it's ridiculous. It was cute when it was just like Grinder, Flickr, all these like R kind of names.
Yeah.
But Yeah, it's too much now. It's too much. I think I stopped caring about branding during the whole incident with Yahoo. Remember Yahoo when they got that new CEO and she's all like, "We spent this weekend in a boot camp and we made this branding and it's the same exact
Incubator,
shit."
like,
It's like maybe the font's like less serify, maybe some
yeah,
kerning's a little tighter, but it's the same shit. And they're just like, "We did this. We didn't need anyone else." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, I don't. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter."
yeah. No, it really, I mean, and that's kind of the unfortunate thing that you're seeing is, like, with a lot of the big brands and franchises that have seen a lot of success, now you're seeing the first generation owners and CEOs are either dying or retiring, and, like,
Mhm.
the people that are coming in, they're just trying to make their mark, and we see that not only, like, in creative aspects where it's like, you know, like, okay, we don't have any more Stan Lee, so, like, where's all the where are all the Marvel comics gonna come from? And it's like,
Yeah.
maybe there shouldn't be a Marvel Comics anymore. Like, maybe we shouldn't have Iron Man comic books anymore, like, if the original writer's not there to do it. Like, let's, uh let's come up with something new. But like you said, it's a lot harder to do that than it is to just glom on to something that's already successful. And so you see it in the corporate world too. It's like, these you saw the same thing, like, recently with, like, the Cracker Barrel rebrand. It was
Yeah.
like
Oh my god. Yeah. 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 But there's something missing in what I've experienced from people who've told me in like Hollywood, at least, is that producers would take risks for the artist back in the day. They would risk their job for the person they're betting the money on,
yeah,
and we don't see that. Everyone's hedging their bets so much
they're
that
so
we're
conservative.
yeah, and that's where you need that kind of, and that's what gave me hope with what's his name, James Gunn with with the other dude, Saffron, because
Mhm.
he's got that Saffron on his side. But and now Warner Brothers is selling, so like that could all be gone after the sell. So who cares at this point? you know, um,
Yeah, man, Warner Brothers and their fire sales have just been crazy, like,
Yeah, Warner Brothers is fascinating to watch. Just everything about them since like the 1920s has been just magical.
yeah, I can't wait to see the, Netflix documentary series about it because it will be great, and I'll have to explain to my kids what Warner Brothers was.
Warner Bros. So one of the brothers created the Oscars to make everyone fight, to make them seem like they're more important, and so we could raise prices. But we pretend that this still matters. Oh man, yeah. So yeah, one of the Warner Brothers made the Oscars, and that's why we have the Oscars.
Yeah,
Um,
and it goes back to what we were talking about before where it's like, the authority that the Oscars have, like, that's one of the first things that eroded, like, it's like now award shows don't mean anything anymore to people. It's like, what used to be the tastemakers, it was like all the critics would come out and say, "This is the movie that you need to see, this is the film of the year." It's like,
mhm, mhm.
well, you're just doing it for, financial and political gain, like,
Yeah,
you don't actually care about the quality of the film, so, um, that's a shame.
yeah, and that's one thing. That's a good example. One thing that kind of personally hurts for me because I have wanted to go and it's not going to happen. Sundance this year is going to be the last year that it's going to be in freaking uh, where's it at? It's in Colorado, right? No, I forget. I forget. But I've always wanted to go, and it's probably not going to happen,
Yeah.
unfortunately. No Telluride's in Colorado. Sundance is in Sundance. I give
Yeah,
up. I don't
I
care.
don't know where
Whatever.
Sundance is.
But yeah, last year it's going to be at that location. Unfortunately.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. So we're seeing that. We're seeing like these things that are like growing to a size. Robert Redford made Sundance, by the way. That are growing to this size that are like just too big for what they're trying to do, which is kind of a smaller sub niche.
Yeah. Yeah, there's just certain things that don't translate into, multinational online presences. Like,
Right. Exactly. Do we need the toy? Do we need the swim trunks? Or can we just get by on a piece of art, you know? It doesn't seem like it, unfortunately, anymore. It has to be some type of multimedia experience of some sort,
yeah, yeah.
which
If someone's not making a return on it, then it's not worth doing. Which, there's good and bad things about that, mostly bad, but
mhm,
but yeah, speaking of things getting too big, here we go. Another question. Ultronus is dropping all the questions in chat here. So,
let's
what
do it.
Gundam series do you think has the most MS bloat? Like the sheer number of mobile suits that the series has outweighs how many of them are relevant or useful?
Okay. So, sheer price in terms of like who has the biggest budget, it has to be Advance of Zeta, right? Titan's test team.
It's just
They
so
had the biggest budget. They could do whatever they wanted, and they made some wild ass suits. Um, I want to say that the biggest bloat, because you see so little of it unless you seek it out, is Gundam Seed MSV content. So the Astrayverse,
yeah,
all the things surrounding Seed. There's so much kind of variance of things you saw in the series that it's so much. It's so much, and it's so little. It's so much for so little. It's like seconds.
right. Yeah, I mean, especially like how many total number of red frames are there? Like,
Decent amount. I haven't read Seed Freedom yet. Working my way up to that, but there's a lot. There's actually more blue frames though because he upgrades that shit. Well, the red frame pilot upgrades the blue frame for him. But
yeah.
yeah, there's so much. There's so many variants. It's insane.
And especially for something that was never given, like, a full, animated feature, it's like, you never
Yeah.
get to see him, like, you get the occasional panel in manga, and that's it. You're
Yep. Yep. The man who saved Jesus, and he doesn't even get a mention.
No, of course not.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
Um,
I'm trying to think
so
what else has bloat though. I'm trying if we're focusing on like bloat in terms of like maybe value per screen time. I want to say, man, that goof. I love the goof. Like going into making this series, that goof custom was always my favorite. But
yeah,
coming on the other side, it feels like the kind of hype to what it is whatever.
that's how I've always felt about the camper, is, like, the camper suffers from what I call the Boba Fett inverse law of popularity, where it's like the less you see of something, the more popular it is because you can
Yes.
fantasize about how cool it was before it got blown
Yes.
up on screen. Um, but so that actually raises a pretty interesting question, is like, what's a Gundam opinion that you had when you first started covering Gundam that, like, now coming out on the other side of going through all the mainline stuff, you've changed your mind about?
Okay. Let's see. I would say there is a lot of. I was always a story guy to begin with, so I was never the kind of mobile suit like tech kind of person. So I always focus on story, and I remember like all the Tominoisms of my childhood, and I'm like, man, this is weird. Is this supposed to be this weird? Um, but surprisingly, that came out like, oh yeah, that was exactly what I remembered about Tomino. That kind of came out unscathed. The weird thing is kind of more the interpersonal kind of relationships and how it played a bigger role. Whether it be Quattro and Rekawa. You know,
Mm,
I didn't. These are things that I did kind of dismissed. That I now go. There's something there. There's like glue there that's holding kind of all of this together. And I've said in the past that Rekka is like a minefield, and there's some good, but there's so much damage to go through. Um, but like there's moments like that, where there's these interpersonal relationships that kind of build, kind of the story grows off of,
Yeah.
um, and I'm being kind of vague, and I'm trying to find the words to not be as vague as I am. But what I'm getting at is like it's more about, we always think of it as like these new types that kind of have these empathic powers that understand people, you know. But we're actually kind of seeing these people go through the work. Let's take White Base for example. They had to work at getting to kind of work together with one another. They hate everyone, mainly Kai because Kai. But and it took a while for them to actually work together, and we could say that it's Amado, right? And that's what I kind of like about Gun to Pulitzer, is that it's fleshing out that Amado isn't just this kind of like this
Right.
golden
Demystifies it.
child. Yeah, he's not just the golden child. Like there was a lot of pieces working together, and it took a crew and a family in some aspects. And that's kind of what I love about the original series, especially that ending. It's like this core family kind of came together. They didn't belong together. uh, the circumstances brought them together, and they kind of survived the situation because they were together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that I 100%, I definitely know what you're talking about because there's a scene in, I think it's episode 6 where, because obviously Sayla and Kai had probably one of the rockier starts of character
Hmm.
relationships. Like, he was disrespecting her with the way he was speaking to her, and she kind of thought he was just kind of a thug and a punk.
Hmm.
And you see that relationship develop even within between episode 2 and episode 6 is they start joking with each other about Hayato and like, calling him a coward and like saying he's not going to get on the guns and help Amuro. And it's like, you know, it's like, when does that happen? When does the tension get broken down and they become less adversarial and more sibling like? And I think that goes to one of the things that Tomino himself talked about, like the family dynamics aboard White Base that appealed to the female audience so much. Bless you, buddy. Um, that's the meat of like the storytelling for
Yes,
sure.
absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and that's what I like as a person who kind of like cares about kind of more my found family than my actual blood family. So like these things speak to me more.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
100%. I
Um,
can totally see that.
yeah. So I'm trying to think. What are some other moments that I'm trying?
Well,
You
I'm glad
know,
you brought up Rekawa as well because that's one
yes.
that, like, my buddy Alter has brought up to me several times. Like there's a scene, I don't remember if it's only in New Translation or if it's in the original Zeta as well, but there's a scene where Rekawa asks Quattro, "Do you ever cry?" And he replies to her, "Well, yeah, of course I do." Like,
Hmm.
and it's one of those things where it's a kind of a shit test, right? Like, because it no matter what his answer is, she's always gonna find something wrong with it because they're kind of like toxic codependent on each other.
Yes.
So, it's like if he says, "Yes, he does cry," but she's never seen him cry, then it's like, "Oh, so you care about other things, but you don't care enough about me to show me that vulnerability."
Right.
But if he says no, then it means that he's completely not vulnerable at all and he's closed off and she'll never have the relationship that she wants with him and she'll never have that validation. So it's like he's trapped. He can't answer the question in a way that's going to satisfy what she wants to hear. And
Yeah.
so but I mean it's a split second of animation. Like if you're not like kind of dialed into it and thinking about like, well, why would she even ask that in the first place? It's like you never get to see just how yeah, just how dysfunctional their relationship is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. There's also I love this is one Yas thing I love in Origin in the comics. It's just like little moments where like Sayla will come by Bright and just be like, huh, maybe be a little bit more assertive next time. stuff like that, and it comes and goes, and it's like her, especially closer towards the beginning of the series when Bright still doesn't have full control, and
Yeah.
she's still trying to learn, and just Sailor's just kind of just jabbing that knife a little bit. It's great, it's great, and
Oh, yeah.
it's all for the most part not mean spirited. It's to uplift him for the most part.
No, yeah, and what I love about that is that that's not, like, something that he added, like, that would existed in the original series too, like, in the first episode, Sayla teases him about being from Earth. Like, she's like, "Oh,
Mm,
you're one of Earth's elite, right?" And he's like, "What is that supposed to mean?" Like, he doesn't get the joke because they've only just met for the first time, and he doesn't know that that's how she teases people that she's close with, and so he's like he kinda snaps at her,
mm,
um, which that's, just typical Bright, like
sure.
no, those character moments are so, yeah, that's so perfect, and that's, like it really does encapsulate the stuff that I love about Gundam as a franchise, and
Yes.
I fear that those are the types of things that we're going to, start losing over time, as people get more interested in, like, the flash and the flare and, like, "Ooh, this fight scene was cool."
Yeah, I guess. I think there's still opportunity for these human moments. It got there a couple times with Witch for Mercury, where I'm like, you almost got there. You almost,
Yeah, the like,
oh,
I was picking up what you were putting down. Um,
yes,
yeah, JamCalX in chat says, "I thought that G-Witch was Shakespeare's The Tempest," which is true. Like, there's direct references to The Tempest, Prospero Mercury, Prospero from The Tempest. There's, like, that revenge arc exists for sure, and, like, the behind the scenes manipulation. But yeah, I cannot wait to drop the Witch from Mercury, Taming of the Shrew comparison because, man, there's so much meat on that bone, especially when you factor in,
nice.
um, the popular early 2000s adaptation of Taming of the Shrew, 10 Things I Hate About You. Um, there's a lot of, like, crossover between that as well, so,
Neat. I'm excited.
yeah, yeah, we're gonna have some fun with it. But, that brings us to, like, the end of the hour. As I mentioned, like, obviously, you guys know SimplyNewtype. If you haven't yet, go subscribe to the channel. And what's next on the menu? For what's coming out this week?
This week we are doing. I have an IBO. Gaia Gear's coming out. We just caught
So
up
there we go. I
on.
don't even have to read Gaia Gear. I'm just gonna watch your video.
You can just watch the video. Yeah, there you go. We got what did I just finish? We just finished up Gundam Werewolf, so we're caught up in that. If you want to check that out, that's getting crazy. A lot of blood. Um, and we are just starting versus Astray, which has the Mirage frame, the introduction of the Mirage frame, which is interesting. I'm excited to learn more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of cool things coming up. I want to do. I don't know if you've seen at the beginning when I started this channel. Anytime I would finish a series, I would kind of do a summary, kind of like what I want to do. I kind of want to go back to that. They're like,
Like a retrospective type.
yes, but drunken and unhinged and chaotic. And I did it for Seed, and I did it for Original Gundam, and I want to go back. I think I did it for Zeta too, because that's where the video. If you want to see every single slap that Camille's ever had, that's where that's that video. Um,
So good.
I want to go back to like those kind of unhinged videos. Maybe you'll
I
see
think that
those in
that's
the
a good
future.
way it's almost like having a rap party, but for yourself. Like,
Yeah,
oh man, well, I'm looking forward to it, and in particular, I am looking forward to the deep dives that you're going to do, like on specific characters, specific mobile suits, and things like that within the Gundam franchise.
yeah,
Like you said, the work never stops for guys like you and me.
definitely.
Sweet man. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming on again. I always
absolutely.
enjoy talking about like kind of high culture and it's funny to consider like things like Gundam high culture, but it's that is what it is for our generation. Like we don't have an Oscar Wilde writing poetry for us to talk about, so we have to talk about kids franchises from the 80s.
I want to kind of touch on that. A good kind of example of what's going on. 2006 me goes to Comic Con. I look up at the street lights. It says Comic Con, leader of counterculture. Go to 2021, look up at a light. It says the biggest destination of the popular arts. So that's kind of where we've come.
Wow. That is such a profound, like, comparison, the juxtaposition of where geek culture started and what it's become.
It's interesting. It's fascinating. It's a little depressing. A little bit. It's still hope. There's still hope out there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm scared to see what, like, high school movies are gonna be like in the future where it's like the Marvel geeks are beating up the jocks and, like
Maybe. I've always personally, because I don't know if I've ever mentioned this anywhere. I have a black belt in karate and a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I've
Oh,
always been
wow.
a person who is like, if you want to be strong, you get strong. If you want to be smart, you get strong and smart. That's always how I've grew up in the 90s. It's always how it's been. You got to be both. And
Yeah,
I think we're going to go back to that. There was a time where like kind of geeks ruled and they were able to make a lot of money, do a lot of things. I think we're going to see that kind of fade away.
100%. Yeah, I think that and you're already seeing it in, like, you know, the alpha male type, groups online. It's like these guys
Mhm.
are guys that are talking about lifting weights, but then, the rest of their channel is either talking about some kind of geek culture or, like, business or philosophy, like, they've all, like, adopted this weird, like, warrior poet,
It's
like,
weird.
shogun identity.
It's weird. It's awkward. It's I don't know because a lot of it's fine. It's that it's more the broadcasting of it is the weird part because there's some good in a lot of that. There's some good in like this stoicism's huge in that kind of
Yes.
culture. So there's great stuff in stoicism, but man, do people take it to the next level? Stuff like that, whether it's like bodybuilding, whatever, alpha male culture, whatever. There is some good in that, but man,
I mean,
gotta
I think
calm
it does
down.
go back to like, when you and I first met, it's like one of the things that you talked about was, like, the religiosity of fandom culture and, like,
Yes,
where we've gone with it, and it does feel like whether it's bodybuilding, whether it's stoicism, whether it's, like, whatever the Marvel slop is, it's like there is a god-sized hole in everyone's heart, and they're trying to fill it with whatever they can.
and we're
Um,
kind of seeing like a big push that I haven't seen since the 80s and 90s of like Christianity hard. And there's reason for that. I'm
yeah,
seeing a lot of religious aspects and our fan culture that should be in a religion. And Christianity at least has a path to redemption, which I'm not seeing in a lot of other places. So they got that on you, man. If you gotta have at least some type of path. You can't isolate people and kind of like push them out of culture. You can't do that.
no, no, uh we see what the end result of that becomes, and so that's a slippery slope.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you gotta forgive people. Make fun
Exactly.
of them. Don't stop making fun of them.
No,
But
and that's honestly the best, like, the best treatment of it is, like, just ridicule, like, that's just bring
yeah,
back harmless ridicule, like, you don't have
yeah,
to cancel, you don't have to kill, just make fun of them.
yeah. Basic trash talk, man. Just that. Like,
Yeah.
like
Oh
I'm
my
tired
god.
of like. I'm sorry. I know you want to kind of wrap this up, but
No, no, you're good, man.
just like I just some a lot of people just sometimes want to call someone a name. And I've seen like, well, what do you mean by what does that actually mean? I'm like, no, I'm insulting you. Like, there's nothing more to it. I'm walking away now. Bye. Like I know there was a point where like dumb people really, really, really bullied and really assaulted people. I lived through it,
Yeah.
but it goes full circle to the other side where it's like maybe you need someone to tell you stop that.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the very least. At the very least.
Yeah. Maybe not full-blown bullying, but
Yeah.
definitely, a little bit of cyberbullying.
Yeah, I
I
don't
don't
know
know
that.
I don't know
I don't
what
know the
the answer would
balance.
be.
I don't know the balance, but there's something there. There's something there.
Yeah, it's high
Uh.
science. Well, I think that that's a like you said, that's a profound thought to end on is, hashtag bring back bullying anime fans.
Let's do it.
Send us back to the weird mall stores that we had to go to in the '90s.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, again, thank you so much, and, guys,
Yeah,
definitely go check out, Simply New Type's coverage of all things Gundam because it's probably the most entertaining stuff that you'll find on YouTube,
I
Gundam
appreciate
related. Cheers, everyone. You have a good night. We'll see you next week.